Hey everyone, Mr. Armitage here. In this video, I'm going to show you the, calculator that I made in Excel for, this situation. Okay. So specifically, this calculator is made for two sample t-tests, unpaired sample t-tests. However, with a little bit of creativity, they can be used for any type of t-test. So in this particular example, okay, I've already entered the numbers here. Okay, I guess you could actually see them like this just fine. Mean 1, 3.33, that was the women. Mean 2, 2.898, that was the GPA for men. Okay, this is the GPA example. We have our sample standard deviations there. We have our sample sizes, 19 and 13 there. Okay, we can ignore these numbers. They're not important. Okay, that's the difference between the means. Okay, so 0.432, we calculated that ourselves. Okay, the standard error, oh, yeah, we calculated that too. That was correct. Awesome. The degrees of freedom. This is the thing that uses the complicated formula for degrees of freedom, the more accurate one. Okay, so it's cool that this does it. Here's our t-score, 2.33. Awesome. And now here are all of the three different types of p-values you may be interested in regards to that particular t-score. Okay. So two of them are one-tailed, so greater than or less than, depending on what you're looking at, and then the two-tailed, if you just have a not equals to alternative hypothesis. Okay. So in our case, okay, we were doing a greater than, like that. So greater than, that would be our p-value right there. Now, what does this look like? So we could use this calculator for for literally any two sample t-test unpaired. Okay, that's fine. It works out great. Now, what about, say, let's say we had a one sample t-test, right? This one here. Okay. An owner of a small jewelry store. Is concerned about the average, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, notice the similarities. Okay, the sort of things that we need to change. Okay, our t-score is always what we observed minus what we expected. Now, the nice thing about the two sample t-test is that in this calculator, we expect the difference to be different. Or, sorry, we expect the difference to be 0. That's what I meant to say. So let's go ahead and, well, because the difference is 0, we can kind of fudge this a little bit, right? We could say that here mu minus 193 is 0. Mu minus 193 is less than 0. So we could put in here our sample. So for our first one, okay, sample standard deviation, sample size, 6. Cool. Now, we don't need to look at anything yet until we finish with everything. Okay. So over here, our other mean, okay, the one that we are hoping that when we subtract 193, we get 0. There we go. Now what do we, whoops, I forgot to put all the decimals there. 178.9167. There we go. Now, because it's a population value we're using here, technically, the sample standard deviation, or the standard deviation in general, would be 0. So when we put that in, it all works out exactly like we had before. Okay? Difference in means, okay, yeah, whatever. We got that. Standard error, that works out to the same one that we got. Right? 10.265, 10.265. 5 degrees of freedom, awesome. T-score of negative 1.37, 1.37, the 2, okay, at the end. And then the one-tailed p-score, or sorry, the left-tailed, right? One-tailed probability for p-value less than 0.144. 0.114, which is exactly what we had here. So all we had to do was slightly change how this particular calculator was set up. And notice we didn't need to change that second sample size because once you enter in a standard deviation of 0, it's the same. And so this will work for any t-test, any at all. 2 sample, 1 sample. If you do a paired 2 sample t-test, which is essentially a 1 sample t-test on the differences between the samples, okay, on the average difference, not the difference of averages, the average difference. Okay, then it is the same thing here as the 1 sample t-test. Right, so I hope that posting this will help a little bit. You can kind of see, play around, enter in your own problems that you find in the book. I will post a few of them as well, and we will go over it in class.